especially when you think how many cows there are in India walking around and like pooping and stuff. Then you are walking in the rainwater up to your ankles and you are thinking, there's a lot of cow poop in this. Hello everyone, I'm Ella. Welcome back to the Coffee Break series where we talk about anything and everything and drink coffee. Today's pick is a classic Americano. Nothing special, but always perfect, in my opinion. And today's topic is yoga teacher training, everything you should know before you go. I have done my 200-hour yoga teacher training and my 300-hour yoga teacher training now, so altogether 500 hours, which is the basic yoga teacher certification system. I did my first training in Rishikesh, India in 2022, and the second one I did 2024 in September, so not a long ago. I went to the same school for both trainings. So of course every course is different. My experience is from a specific school and I think my experience is highly impacted, of course, by me doing the course in India specifically. A lot of you guys have reached out to me on Instagram to ask further questions about the trainings. So I thought that making a whole video would be helpful. So without further ado, here we go. The first question is how to choose the right course and the right school for you, and why did I choose going to India. So first of all, of course, there is the huge decision of in which country are you going to. Maybe your home country has courses. I think yoga is so popular now in every corner of the world almost. I could have done my yoga trainings here in Finland. Why I chose not to? First of all, this is not the primary reason, but money is a huge thing. I have seen yoga teacher trainings in Finland that cost 5,000 euros or at least 4,000 euros. These courses usually are on the weekends for a longer period of time. Obviously, that's more accessible to more people. The cost just covers the classes and the materials. If you compare that to what I paid in India, for my 200-hour training in India, I paid $1,300 US, and that covered the accommodation, the food for all the days except Sunday, and all the classes and materials. So, there's a huge difference. Of course, India, I had to pay my flight there, insurance, and that kind of stuff. But as I said, money wasn't my primary reason of choosing India. I wanted to prioritize getting the information from the source. I wanted to get the authentic experience and really immerse myself in the yoga lifestyle, which I couldn't have gotten if I did the yoga teacher training in Finland, for example. Even though, yeah, sure, you can learn yoga philosophy as well in your home country, I think. But when you go to India, it's just intense and it's the real thing. All the teachers that I had were locals, and that was really important to me. Even though I knew that I'm not going to necessarily agree with everything that I'm taught in India, I wanted to get that right, real information and not the kind of watered down, westernized information here, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that you can get a quality yoga teacher training in a Western world, but I just really valued the knowledge that I got straight from India, the birthplace of yoga. Hi, I'm just editing the video and I lost the next audio clip, so I'm just going to answer again. So one more point that I wanted to say was that it was so eye-opening to see how yoga was not just a workout, but it was a lifestyle for all of my teachers, and I think that was very inspiring. So now you have decided what country you are going to do your course in. Now let's think about the yoga styles. There are a lot of different yoga styles these days. For example, Vinyasa yoga is maybe the most popular style that you can see. In Vinyasa, you have creative sequencing, so you can pair different asanas with each other. Then there's Ashtanga, which is, in my opinion, the hardest yoga style there is. In Ashtanga, the series is fixed, so you always do the same thing. There are 6 different series. The style of my course was combined Vinyasa and Ashtanga style. There's also a bit chiller styles of yoga, like Yin yoga, which is more restorative, and there's Hatha yoga, which is the most original style of yoga. So just see what you like practicing and think about what would you like to learn more about and go with that. When it comes to deciding which school you want to do the training in, I was just watching a lot of YouTube videos of people's experiences. I think it was important to see the real opinions of people and not just watch the videos from the schools, even though that can be helpful, of course, as well. Next question, can you do a yoga teacher training as a beginner in yoga? How much experience did you have when you went, and did you see improvement during and after the course? First, I think you should figure out what do you want to get out of this yoga teacher training. Do you actually want to teach yoga after this, or are you just doing it for your own experience, or both? I had been doing yoga for a lot of years, but not very seriously. I was familiar with like the most common poses, and I had done a few yoga classes at like a gym and mainly on YouTube. When COVID came, I started to get into yoga more because the gyms were closed, obviously. And I really fell in love with the practice and really improved. Somewhere along the way, I started to have this impossible sounding dream of, oh, I wish someday I could teach yoga as well. Then I finally decided that I can go after this dream. It doesn't have to just be a dream, it can be a reality for me. And then a year leading up to my training, I think I had a goal of doing 3 hours of yoga every week. To be honest, it depends on what course you are doing and what style you are doing. I wouldn't recommend doing the Vinyasa Ashtanga as a beginner because Ashtanga is not recommended for beginners anyway. And doing a month of very intense practice, it's going to be hard. Like, it's going to be hard anyways. But if you are a beginner in yoga, I don't know if you are going to get a lot out of it because you are struggling physically a lot. I was also really pushed to my limits in those trainings, and I consider myself quite fit. I have a sports background all my life. I've done various of sports. I'm not naturally flexible. I used to be a swimmer, which doesn't require a lot of flexibility. I was strong though. I have a lot of muscle mass, and that helps me in yoga as well. So you don't have to be perfect and put yourself in like weird positions, but yeah, I recommend having some kind of practice, definitely. Did I see improvement during and after the course? Definitely. Mostly mental transformation because you do a lot of meditation and breath work, so pranayama during the course. In my training, I mean. Physically, also I felt a difference in my back. I could sit straight on the floor for a long time and didn't feel pain. My back muscles really, like the small muscles, really got stronger. My hips opened because of sitting on the floor. I think my shoulders especially got really strong from doing like a lot of chaturangas in Ashtanga. I had this kind of weird idea that I had to be able to do a handstand before my 200-hour yoga training. And while it was a great goal to have, that is like not the point of yoga. Yoga really teaches me every day that it's not about how it looks, how it feels. Yoga is not just a physical practice. Yoga has 8 limbs and asana is only one of them. So if you just really want to do this and you are very interested and love yoga, then yeah, I guess go for it. But also consider, is it maybe better first to do a yoga retreat and not this really, really hardcore training? Okay, then a specific question about India. Is India safe? Did you go to India alone? Were you nervous? The first time I went to India was totally different to my experience going there second time last year. First time, my family was super nervous, was like way more nervous than I was that I'm going to India. India has a lot of bad rep, and a lot of my friends were like, are you crazy? You're going to die. So I'd done a lot of solo trips in Europe, but obviously that's very different to going to India alone. I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I was shitting my pants. I did have a rape alarm with me, which I do recommend in any country. Like, it's just unfortunately not safe for women in a lot of places, or in any place, to be honest. Did I feel safe in Rishikesh? Yes. Rishikesh is very different to the rest of India. I haven't been anywhere else in India. I wish I could go someday. I will definitely travel more there. It's a great country. But Rishikesh is just so centered around yoga and yoga tourism. So as I said, there's a lot of yoga schools everywhere. And the locals are very used to tourists. In Rishikesh, you can wear shorts and a top, and that's fine. I did choose to still wear like longer pants usually and a longer top if I could, but people don't really care. I've also heard that the south of India, like Kerala, is a bit more chill like that, so you feel safer. Obviously, I can't say from my personal experience because I haven't been to anywhere else in India, but what I've heard from my friends, it is very different elsewhere, and you have to be more careful of how you dress and how you act and where you go, kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. Next, how did you get to Rishikesh? Did you feel safe when you were traveling? So I flew straight from Helsinki, Finland, to Delhi. Then you have to keep going to Dehradun, which is the closest airport to Rishikesh. So I think everyone has to transfer terminals when you fly to Dehradun, because you are coming from the international terminal to the domestic one. And there are 2 domestic terminals. If you fly from Terminal 2, you can literally just walk. It is like a 5 minutes walk. Like, it's outside, but it's in the airport, so you feel very safe. You're not going on a random road or anything. So definitely just ask the staff at the airport. If you have to transfer to Terminal 1, I'm not completely sure about this, but I did this in my first time I was there. I had to take a shuttle bus because, at least what I heard from the staff, there was no way you could walk there. So the shuttle bus is free. But again, just ask the staff and don't take a taxi. Oh my god, I was so overwhelmed the first time I went to India. I was so sleep deprived, and I got out of the airport or out of the terminal, and all these taxi drivers started to shout at me and like walk up to me and be like, take a taxi. And I was like, no, I'm looking for a shuttle bus. And they were like, no, you have to take a taxi. And I was close to tears. I was so anxious. My first tip for you is to know what you're doing and look like you know what you're doing. Don't look scared. Just look focused and serious, and don't take any shit. That's the way to go anywhere you travel as a solo female. So when you get to Dehradun, you have to take a taxi to Rishikesh. Now, my school booked the taxi for me, so you can ask the school you're going to if they can do that for you as well. The driver might not speak English, so just be prepared for that. And be prepared to have the address written down, have all the contact details. If the school has changed address, like my school was a different location the next time I went, it was just important to have the right address. And have data on your phone when you arrive, if you can. I don't know how that works if you have to get like a SIM, but I got just an additional phone plan, so I didn't have to get a physical SIM. So I already had data when I arrived in India. One more thing I want to add to this is that if you are staying in an airport hotel at Delhi airport, for example, book your taxi beforehand. You can book through booking.com, like at the same time as you are booking your hotel. I felt safer that I knew that I had the taxi driver waiting for me and they were like texting me and stuff. It can be more expensive to book the taxi beforehand, but I think it's worth it. Like, if you want to just feel worry-free about that. Also, in my first time in India, when we took a taxi to our airport hotel with my friends, the taxi driver was kind of scamming us for more money. We agreed to a certain price before we got into the taxi, but then he asked us more money when we were at the hotel. So then you can also avoid those situations because you have paid beforehand online. So again, a very specific question to my school. If I didn't mention it, my school is called Rishikesh Vinyasa Yoga School. How was the accommodation and food? Okay, so how would I describe this? You can see the rooms that I were staying from my videos that I filmed. This is not going to be a luxury holiday. Just keep that in mind. If you want to have a great room and no problems with bugs, the AC, breaking, then you need to pay more and go to Bali. If you want the experience of like really beautiful and aesthetic experience, then maybe going to India is not for you. I think I've seen at least some videos from south of India and they have some of those more fancy schools, but my school was not like that. We didn't have a swimming pool. I'm not saying it was bad. Like, I really loved my room. I did have cockroaches in my room. But then I just asked the staff to spray the room. And that's fine. Like, I don't think you can really avoid cockroaches in those countries. How was the food? Oh my god. The food was amazing. Indian cuisine is probably my favorite cuisine. And just to have that authentic, fresh Indian food every single day and have like different kind of meals. Ooh, wow, it was honestly, I miss it so much. Yeah, the food is good. Yeah, it gets a bit repetitive when you have rice every single day for a month, but I love rice. You can also eat at the cafes nearby, but I personally really loved the food at the school, so I mostly ate there. My coffee is already cold, and I didn't finish it. This is the most tragic thing ever. Next question. Very satisfied with the curriculum? Yes, it was very hectic. Very, very hectic. Keep in mind you are going to India, so a different country, you have a culture shock, and you are supposed to be thinking and breathing yoga every day. In my course, you had 1 free day a week, so 6 days a week. You were waking up 5:30 and we finished like at 7 p.m. So yeah, it is intense, but I really loved it. I just got into this rhythm. I found it really beneficial to have to do the same thing every day, to have the schedule and the routine. You can again watch my videos to know more about the routine. There's just a lot to take in, which is both positive and negative. You definitely get like this tsunami of information and you might not be able to process it all. Don't stress about it too much. Take your notes and then you can get back to them when you are at home. As I kind of hinted at the start, I didn't agree with absolutely everything that I was taught. But I think it's good. Anytime you learn something at school or at uni or anywhere else, you have to be critical and not just take everything for gospel. So I went to India, as I said, to get the real, authentic knowledge. Yoga is very much linked to Ayurveda, which is the Indian medicine. And it's difficult because I want to respect the culture, and I don't mean that we have everything right in the Western world and we have the right medicine. I don't mean it like that, because I really think we should take a more holistic approach to our medicine and health. But some things that in my first training in the 200, some things that I was taught in the anatomy class, I didn't agree with. Stuff about what we should eat and what we should restrict. Personally, it doesn't sit well with me if somebody tells me to restrict something, because everybody's body is different, everybody's mind is different and that kind of stuff. So I didn't enjoy that aspect. Some of the Shatkarma techniques I didn't agree with. In both of my trainings, we had to try a purification technique, which involves you to drink salt water and then puke it out. So make yourself vomit it out multiple times. Both times I said, I will not do this. And that's where I drew the line. I will not do it. And both times that was totally fine. They totally respected my decision. They didn't even ask why I didn't want to do it. You are not forced to do anything you don't feel comfortable with. Definitely do try to push yourself and be open with the cultural differences and try new stuff. But if you feel strong about something, like me about making myself vomit, then just don't do it. You're gonna be fine. In the 300 hour, we were also supposed to do a purification technique, which involves drinking lemon salt water and then the water will come out, from the other end. All of us in the course, we didn't want to do it. And I just don't think it's very healthy, especially because we are sweating a lot and doing a lot of physical activity, and also like having a different bacteria in India. So maybe you have some stomach issues kind of thing. But all of my teachers, when they asked us about it, they were like, yeah, this is the best purification technique. So it just goes to show that this is really ingrained in the culture, and I respect that. I just don't want to do it myself. One thing that comes to mind that I was missing about the curriculum was more of the teaching method. We did have teaching methodology class in my 300-hour training, but we didn't go much into like the actual teaching, like how you should present yourself and how you physically align people and help them. We did a little bit of that, like adjusting, but I don't feel very confident in that. When I teach yoga now, I teach at the gym anyway, so I don't actually physically adjust people, but I would like to do that if I get to work in a yoga studio or with smaller group of people in my class, because now at the gym there's 50 people sometimes, which is a lot and way too much, I think personally, because I can't see everyone and I can't possibly see what they're all doing. Otherwise, I really loved the curriculum. I loved all the teachers, and I follow them on Instagram to keep in touch, because hopefully I want to go to their classes again when I go back to India, which is hopefully not too far away. When did you go to India and when is the best time to go? So my first training I did in August and the second training I did in September. And both of those months were very hot. I do sweat a lot anyway, so I was really making sure that I drink my electrolytes, I drink a lot, and we had some really heavy rain some days. The roads like downhill were flowing with water. You could have just taken a boat and like gone down that way easier, especially when you think how many cows there are in India walking around and like pooping and stuff. Then you are walking in the rainwater up to your ankles and you are thinking, there's a lot of cow poop in this. Anyway, I feel like we had smaller group of people in our courses because it was the hotter months. I have seen on Instagram that they have a lot more people when it's like in the winter months. Did you travel somewhere else before or after the course in India? Unfortunately, no. As I said, the first time I was very nervous. I did not want to travel anywhere else. Rishikesh was enough for me. I was already scared of Rishikesh. The second time, I wish I had thought about it more and taken a bit of time after the training. It's funny because I consider myself quite well traveled, but then I met all the beautiful, incredible women on my course, especially in the 300. People were crazy about traveling. A lot of people kept traveling in India after this and in Nepal and stuff, and it was just very inspiring. So definitely don't be too scared, but I wouldn't recommend going alone in India, like altogether alone. Maybe you can meet some people in your course that want to travel with you. I have friends who have had bad experiences after leaving Rishikesh. That said, it obviously depends where you go. Like if you go to Kerala, for example, again, I've heard that it's chill and more safe. But I met so many people, like everyone on my course were so lovely that I wish I had some time after the course and wouldn't have booked my flights like straight after to get home, because I could have traveled with the people there. Next question, what is the difference between 200-hour yoga teacher training and 300-hour yoga teachers training? Can you do them back to back? So 200-hour is like the basic training and you can technically go there without experience, which we have talked about, but I wouldn't maybe recommend it. I don't know how this works with other schools and courses, but I learned more about Ashtanga in the second training. I learned the primary series in the first training and then the secondary series in the second training. So it is more challenging. Also Vinyasa flow, the teacher will definitely adjust the level when they see like what the group is like. Actually, in my 300-hour course, we were only 2 people, me and Mel. Hi Mel, if you're watching. Rayesh, who was our Vinyasa teacher, definitely he saw that we could handle it and he was just like, okay, let's push more. The asanas were more advanced. He kept us in the asanas for forever. Actually, some of the theory classes we had together with the 200 course. So technically I was getting the same information again. However, we had different teachers, so they were giving their own like examples and perspectives, and in philosophy especially, we had a lot of like different information as well compared to my 200. And I didn't take that as a negative side because there's so much information that I was just happy that I could kind of go through again the similar content. And with meditation, I'm so bad in meditation that I couldn't have gone to any like more advanced meditation. Can you do them back to back? Yes, technically you can. I personally could not have done that. I could not have done that. I was so broken after the 200. To imagine that I would have just had a few days of rest and then started 300. Oh no. I needed to recover. I also want to add here that I think it was very beneficial for me to do the 200 and 300 separately, because after the 200 I came home, I could process the information, go through my notes, and most importantly, I started teaching yoga. And then when I went back 2 years later to do my 300, I could apply my knowledge in a different way and I could ask questions. So I got so much more out of the 300-hour course. And of course, I also improved, I think, a little bit at least in my own practice before doing the 300. So I was ready for it. Okay, everyone, that is everything for now. I'm sure that I missed something, so if you still have some questions, feel free to leave them below or contact me on Instagram at momentmemos. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.